My name is Detective Rich Wistocki with the Naperville Police Department. Tonight's feature presentation is going to be showing you, the parents who are watching this, about how to keep our kids safe online and on their devices. I want to thank the Exchange Club of Naperville and the Naperville Police Department for allowing this program to occur. Not only are we giving this program to the Exchange Club and the community of Naperville, we want to give this program to the entire Exchange Club, all 650 of them throughout the United States. So thank you, Exchange Club, for making this program happen. I want to give a shout out to the Exchange Club and Sherry Weinstein, Naperville Exchange Club member. Her and I have been doing this program of keeping kids safe online for the past 10 years. We go out into the community and show parents exactly what they need to be doing when it comes to technology on the kids' devices and on their computers. Therefore, when we bring parents into our presentations, we empower them. We ask them to bring their children with, and we empower the children how not to become a victim of various different types of things that happen online. My name is Detective Rich Wistocki. I've been a Naperville police officer for the past 27 years. I spent 4.5 years in patrol, and then I went into juvenile investigations. My forte in juvenile investigations is to make sure kids learn a lesson. Instead of sending them to court, to jail, we want to give kids diversion to learn by their mistakes instead of sending them to court. Back in 1997-98, we started to see predators actually meeting with young children 13 and 14 years of age. This was alarming and disturbing to us. Once we did our first traveler case where a subject from Tennessee had actually came to Naperville to have a sexual encounter with a 13-year-old girl. We then took that girl's persona over, and that predator decided to do it again. This time he met us. Basically what I do is that I go out into the community, not only to the Naperville community, but also to other communities. I teach children how to be safe online in the classroom. I teach parents all over the country via webinar. And I also teach law enforcement on how to investigate these cases. It is important for law enforcement to have the detail of what to do when kids are affected by predators. So many times throughout our country, because law enforcement officers don't have the training that they need to have, sometimes they'll tell the child to just delete it. Or if it happens in school, the SRO, the school resource officer, will tell the child, you're going to get suspended. Other law enforcement officers tell the children, I'm sending you to court. Nothing in the middle. So what we try to do is to empower kids, empower parents on how to learn from their mistakes. We are going to show you exactly what you need to do as parents, how to talk to your kids about technology. We are going to show you what topics that are going on in your children's devices. Now parents, it's not that we have bad kids. It's not that you have bad kids. When you allow your children to have these ominous devices as iPhones and Samsung i7s, it is like giving your kid the key to your brand new Cadillac at the ripe old age of 12 and say, sweetheart, go have a great time. You can go to Vegas, you can go to Florida, you can go to California, you can go wherever you want. And when you come back, I'm going to fill up your gas tank for you and you can go again, but just don't tell me if you did anything wrong. You see, when you give your kids those devices, ladies and gentlemen, that's what you're allowing them to do. You are allowing them to go to those places. You are allowing predators to come into their lives and you will never even know it. We're going to talk about some of these new threats to our children, such as cyberbullying, internet predators on their devices, cell phone applications that you need to be aware of that can harm our children. We're going to talk a lot about sextortion. This is a hybrid of sexting. There are certain things that you have to understand when it comes to children with their devices. You may not like what I'm about to say. You may even want to turn off this program, but you have to hear it from someone who's going to tell you like it is. All of you here watching this program are responsible for your children. There, I said it. Yes, I hope you don't turn off the program, but it's true. You're not only responsible for your children in their food, clothing, shelter, and education. You are responsible for them in their technology as well, ladies and gentlemen. Just by telling your children, oh, sweetheart, you wouldn't do that, would you? Is a message that you are telling your children you would never in a million years believe that they would do that, and now your children know that you would never believe that they would do that. That in and of itself is allowing your children to do things that they would not normally do. And when you allow your children to go into these social networks and their cell phones online with no monitoring, without checking with them, without having any conversation, you are risking your child's welfare and their safety and their future. You see, it's a known fact that our children, especially when it comes to sexting, their frontal cortex of their brain is not mature enough to understand what they do. But there are plenty of predators out there that will guide your children, act as their friend, and lead them to wherever they want them to go, because they're not smart enough to know somebody is playing them. So the first ground rule is that you are responsible for your children online, for their technology. The second thing you have to understand, there is no such thing as privacy for children, ladies and gentlemen. Do I make myself clear? I don't know how clear I can make myself. There is no such thing as privacy for children. Once you understand that, things become easier. Once you understand that your children have no privacy when it comes to their devices, because you have to be able to log in there. At some events that I do in Naperville, we have exchanges through the tweens and the parents, and we have them bring their devices in. And the first thing I show parents is, all right, parents, we give a placard to the children that has a swipe code in it or that has their codes in it. And we hand it out to every kid. And when we're ready to start, I say, okay, parents, we want you to stand in front of your children. And they get up and they stand in front of their children. And then when the children, they say, okay, kids, now write your codes or put your swipe code on that piece of paper. Now, parents, I want you to go like this. Watch me very closely. I want you to put your hand out. All right, kids, now put your phone in your parents' hands. The kid puts the phone in the hand. Very good, parents. You did a great job. There are so many parents out there, ladies and gentlemen, that cannot do that. They can't bring themselves to do that. And then after the child gives the parent the phone, and then the child gives the parent the swipe code or the code that goes into the phone, they have an exchange of information, and now the parent knows how to get into the phone. It's so important. How many times do you pay for your child to get that special training in soccer, in hockey, in basketball? You pay for a trainer to make them good at their sport. You send them here, you send them there, and you're so happy when they make that goal or make that save. But when things go bad on their technology, guess who is left holding the bag? You are. You are responsible for your children. So what I want to do is I want to empower you to have healthy conversations with your children. So we're going to talk about all of these topics, but the first thing we need to talk about is this. Do I allow my child to charge their devices in their rooms at night? Think about that. When they're in their apps such as Facebook, Musical.ly, Snapchat, Kik, Instagram, Vine, Uvu, Omegle, Skype, when you're sleeping at night and they have their device in their rooms, they have shut the door so you can't hear them. They really don't need to talk. It's all about typing, reading, then performing. You see, it's so dangerous to have those devices in their rooms at night. Bedrooms are for sleeping, ladies and gentlemen. Put that device on the kitchen counter, put that device on the island or in your bedroom to charge, because they do not need that device in their rooms. I'll give you an example. A couple years ago, a friend of mine who is a police officer, he's a canine guy, he comes home from work and at 2:30 in the morning. So he gives his 8-year-old baby girl a kiss goodnight. When he goes into her bedroom, looks in her bed, she's not there. It's like, where did she go? Did she go downstairs? No, she's not there. He looks, sees a blue glow in her closet, opens up the door, and there's his daughter, naked, taking pictures of herself at 8 years old. She's like, Daddy, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. He made me do it. Who made you do what? The guy on Kick, he made me do this. What do you mean? Where'd you meet this guy? I was on my Hello Kitty game on my phone. He brought me to Meow Chat, and then he brought me to Kick, where he sent her pictures. He made her send him pictures, and he was posing as a 12-year-old girl. Well, when I took over her accounts, I became the 8-year-old girl. I found out who he was through the process of preservation and subpoena and search warrant. I found out that he was a person living in Louisiana. So when I called my partners in Louisiana, I said, hey, can you guys go do the search warrant for me? They're like, take a number, Rich. We're hitting this house on Friday, and there's 9 other law enforcement agencies that are investigating this guy. Not only did this guy confess to mine, he confessed to 20 other people that he's done this to, children, as young as 8 years old. And where were they? In the Hello Kitty website. That's like Club Penguin. That's like Minecraft. It's like World of Worlds. So please, parents, you need to be in your kids' technology. You know exactly who they're talking to throughout their use of their devices. So I get a kick out of this. You know, I get a lot of moms that are friends with their daughters. And they go around saying, my daughter tells me everything. We are best friends. We talk about boys. We talk about drama. We are best friends. She doesn't keep any secrets from me. Let me ask you this, moms. You tell your mom everything when you're that age? Oh, heck no, you didn't. So what makes you think your darling daughter is going to tell you everything? They don't. They only tell you enough so you think they are telling you everything. But they don't. It's part of being a teenager. So when we talk about the conversations or our illusions of what our kids tell us, they're kids. They're not going to tell you everything. There is something, a God-given talent, that God has given you called maternal instinct. You know exactly that something is wrong. For example, you can be in your kitchen, right? You're in your kitchen cooking dinner and waiting for everybody to come home, and your child comes through the mudroom, and you say, hey, sweetheart, how was school? And you take a step. By the way how they say fine, by the way they put their book bag down, by the way they go to the bathroom, charge up the stairs to their bedroom and slam their door, you're like, ooh, something's not right. Moms, my advice to you is to investigate. That God-given talent you have of something's not right with my child that you bore, that you raised, when you investigate that, and until you feel good enough to say, okay, that's why they're feeling that way, you need to be your child's confidant, not their friend. Please understand that. So when you pay attention to these maternal instincts, God has given you this talent, and that thing sitting next to you in the lazy boy chair called your husband, yeah, God skipped him. He don't have that maternal instinct. I get a lot of dads say, leave her alone. We were doing worse things when we were a kid. Don't listen to that guy. Because you know what? When you tell your children what you did when you were their age, I get a lot of dads and a lot of parents saying, oh, when I went to that kegger when I was your age. No, don't say that stuff. Or when I smoked weed when I was your age, it was different. No, you can't do that. Because when you do that, you are certifying that behavior. And then when your kids get caught for that behavior by the school or by the police when they bring your kid home, what do you think your children are going to say? Well, you did it and you turned out okay. What are you yelling at me for? And you will not have a leg to stand on. My kids thought I should have been in the seminary. So please, don't ever tell your kids what you did when you were that age. Well, detective, You mean you want me to lie to my children? Absolutely. They do not need to know what you did when you were that age. If you're trying to get on their same level, you are reaffirming that behavior. And when they get caught for it, you will not have a leg to stand on. So, how do you parent your children when it comes to their technology and their use? How many of you take your child's device away when they're bad? Yeah. Okay, a lot of you do. I see all of you out there. All right. A lot of times you take their devices away. Why do you do that? Well, you do that because they like it. And you try and teach them a lesson, right? You do that because it's what's important to them. You do that because they spend a lot of their time on it and you want them to get refocused. Yes, I understand that. How many of you parent in your technology like this? If you talk to anybody you're not supposed to, if you give out your number, if you give out bad pictures, if you tell people where we live, you're going to be grounded. We're going to take your stuff away. You're not going to hang out with your friends, and the door is going to come off the hinges of your bedroom. Good luck with all your social networks because you're not going to have them again. How many of you do that? Yeah, I see all of you out there. Yes, a lot of parents do that. Well, I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that that is the wrong way to parent your child. When you do this to them, you are scaring them into compliance. However, predators are very, very savvy when it comes to your children. We're going to talk a little bit about sextortion in a little bit, but sextortionists love when parents go like this and you threaten your child. So it's so important that when you go home after this presentation, or if you're home now, to have this technology talk with your child. Say, hey, I saw this program on how to be responsible for your kids and their technology. I had no idea what goes on these websites. So listen, if somebody wants to make you do something that you know mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, nana, nonu, aunt, uncle, whoever is the person who's in charge of that child, if somebody wants you to do something that you know that's not right, you need to come to us. And if you come to us, there will be no consequences. I know mom and dad said, you're going to be grounded, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. That's not going to happen because we had no idea what was going on in your technology and on social networks. So from now on, if something bad is happening to you on your technology, you need to come to us. Ladies and gentlemen, the average internet predator can have up to 250 victims in their lifetimes. 250. That's how many kids they affect. So if you give your child a way out when they're being pressured to do something, if you come to us, there'll be no consequences. Now, you may redefine their boundaries a little bit with technology and with monitoring software, but your kids must feel comfortable in coming to you. So you must have this technology talk with your child, and you're going to see throughout this program how predators and how kids can do very bad things to each other. So let's talk about the golden ticket. The golden ticket is when you do these things that we're talking about, where you actually take your kids' devices away. You want to have that technology talk that we discussed. Your children need to trust you that you're not going to go off and take things away. But when it comes to technology, you need to have an understanding position. No more threatening them into compliance. So when you give the child that golden ticket, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to trust you. They know that they can come to you if something does something bad to them. Because here's how sextortion happens. When your child is playing a game such as Minecraft, Warcraft, any other game that they play online or on their device, and they're playing with someone they met online for 3-4 months, then that person will ask them, hey, do you have a Skype or do you have a Kik? And then that person will send information or send bad pictures to your children. And when they send bad pictures to your children, they're going to say, you owe me one pic. That's the common denominator in a sextortion case. You owe me one pic. And then our kids think that there's some rule out there that they have to reciprocate by giving them a picture. That's inappropriate. So once the person gets that picture, they will then say, now that I have your picture, you're going to make me videos every week. You're going to meet me. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And the child is like, oh, I need to go tell my parents. This person I've been talking to and playing with isn't the person that they thought they were. I need to go tell my parents. If I go tell my parents, you're going to be grounded. We're going to take your stuff away. You're not going to see the light of day. I'll just make one video. It's never one video. It's never one picture. It continues. Much like the unfortunate demise of Amanda Todd. When you have time, go to YouTube and type in Amanda Todd video. I spent a lot of time talking to Amanda Todd's mother. That's the exact thing that happened to Amanda Todd. You see, Amanda Todd was a 7th grader. When Amanda was in 7th grade, she was a singer, she was a performer. She had all her devices in her room. At night, she was on a website called Oovo, O-O-V-O-O. In Oovo, you can have 6 to 12 people in one sitting talking to people. Parents, remember when we were kids, we used to play spin the bottle in somebody's garage, somebody's basement. It was all funny games. Or we used to play truth or dare, right? And, go do this or go do that or take the dare, take the truth, whatever. It was harmless fun. But you know what? Our kids are playing truth or dare too, just like we did. But when they play truth or dare on technology, there's somebody recording the screen. So you see the progression I'm talking to you about? Take the devices out of the rooms at night. Amanda had her devices in her room. When they asked her, now it's your turn, she took the dare. Flash us. No, I don't want to do that. Flash us. It's your turn. You took the dare. Okay. Shoo. Pulled her shirt up, pulled her shirt down. That was it. That's all she did. They're playing a game. Well, somebody in that room was recording the screen and used that picture, that screenshot against her. If you don't make me videos, if you don't do this for me, if you don't do that for me, this Facebook, this Instagram account is going to go out to all your friends. She didn't give in, and the guy did it. All her friends knew. She became the class loose girl. She became the person that boys wanted to get with, who wanted to use, and then she was beat up. She had to move schools, move in another place. It happened there too. And she made a video. I encourage you to go see that. But 3 days after she made that video, Amanda took her life in 8th grade. So when I tell you about being in your kids' technology, when I tell you about taking those devices out of their rooms at night, when I tell you about the golden ticket to have that technology talk with your children, it's so important to keep them safe because you have no idea what goes on these social networks. So let's talk about relationships between parents. Within Naperville, we have about 160,000 people. We have about 40,000 children. What I've seen in my history is that a lot of divorce happens when parents cannot decide on the appropriate discipline for their children. One is the heavy, one is the friend, and that is a recipe for disaster. You need to parent as a team. You should never keep secrets from each other. Like if mom is clothes shopping with their daughter and they go into Victoria's Secret, Mom, all the girls are wearing this bra. I know it's going to make me look like this or that, but all the girls are wearing it. Say, okay, but don't let your dad see it. That is the wrong perspective. The right perspective is, well, no, let's see what your dad thinks. Call him over, and dad's going to say, oh, heck no, put that back. You have to parent as a team. No matter how much it hurts, Mom, not to be your kid's friend and give them everything they ever wanted. We all want to do that, right? We want to give our children everything they want. But when it comes to discipline, you have to parent as a team. When there's a situation where your child brings up, like I got asked, like as a sophomore, I got asked to the prom by a senior. You got what? You need to have the discussion away from your child in private. And if that is no, both of you must say no. You see, when the parent and both mom and dad are a team, the kid has nowhere to go. But it must start when they're little. You can't just do it when they're in high school because that's too late. So those of you who have little kids, when things arise with your tween, it has to start from a young age. That you guys are a partnership. For example, I have a 16-year-old. My 16-year-old wanted to go play soccer in another state. And I'm getting ready for work, and he comes up and says, Dad, I want to go play soccer in Wisconsin. And I was like, okay, what did your mom say? And she goes, well, she said it's up to you. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to discuss this with your mom when I'm done getting ready. Oh, come on, Dad. It's just for a day. And I'm like, I'll have this discussion with your mother, and if we think it's a good idea, you'll go. If not, you won't. Simple as that. You see, when you're a team, ladies and gentlemen, and now I know it's really hard to do this when in a divorce situation, but everything you live for should be for that child. No matter if you started again with another spouse, no matter if, you have to put your differences aside in order to make your child safe. Your child should be the number one thing that you guys are worried about, and their mental health. Do not allow your child to play one against the other. So many times when moms want to make their daughters popular, they will do things like send them to that party, send them to this party, send them away with this friend. You need to be a team. Discuss it with your husband. What do we gain? What do we lose by saying yes or by saying no? That is important parenting, especially when it comes to technology. So let's start out by some of the things that are happening on these devices. Cyberbullying. So cyberbullying occurs when a child or teen is embarrassed, humiliated, harassed, tormented, or otherwise targeted by another person, in person or using the internet or other form of digital communication. So when I teach the kids, I show them what a definition of cyberbullying is when I go through schools throughout the United States. When I tell the children and say, look, there's no such thing as privacy for you guys. So I don't care if you cut grass all summer long. I don't care if you babysat all summer long just to buy the new iPhone 7. You see, your parents are the ones that allow you to have those devices. You don't own it. I don't care if grandma and grandpa gave it to you for Christmas. I don't care if you worked all summer long to get it, to buy it. They allow you to have it. When I teach the kids in school, I said, okay, kids, everybody look at your shoes. They look at their shoes. You don't even own the shoes that you're wearing, I tell them. It's so important for them to understand that you own every aspect about them until they're 18. Please understand that. You see, when it comes to cyberbullying, I talk to the kids about no one online is anonymous. That's my mantra to the kids. No one online is anonymous. So let me take you through this no one online is anonymous thing. How many of you have Comcast at home? How many of you have Roadrunner, Charter, AT&T? What information do those companies have about you and your family? Well, let's see. They know where you live. They know your financial information, right? They know where you search online. They know how many devices you have. They know how many people you have in your house. They know how many devices are connecting to the service. They know how many phone calls you get. They know how many phone calls you make. They know almost everything about your internet space. And how many times do we take our cell phones and hook up to our Wi-Fi? They know everything. So you see, when I teach the kids, I tell them, I said, because I'm a police detective, I have superpowers. My superpowers is a very funny word, boys and girls. It's called a subpoena. Yes, a subpoena. So when I get a subpoena and I send it to Comcast, I send it to Charter, I send it to WOW, I send it to all these different internet service providers, or to Google, or to Snapchat, or to Instagram, or to Facebook, I get all that information we just talked about. That is why no one online is anonymous. So when it comes to cyberbullying, if something is happening to your child, I'm going to show you the evidence that you need to collect in order for us to find out who is doing this to your child. And we can find that out. Okay? So I don't want your children feeling hopeless that they're doing this to me in school and everybody knows about this and everybody knows about that. Somebody posted this and I don't know who posted. I'm going to show you what you need to collect in order for us to find out who that person is. So I already talked to you a little bit about sextortion. This is huge. I am the author of the Illinois sexting law because I wrote this law so kids do not become sex offenders when it comes to them sharing pictures with each other. It's so important for our children to know what happens in sextortion. So I already explained how it happens, but here is the nuts and bolts of sextortion. Sextortion is a hybrid of sexting. And what sextortionists do, now sextortionist isn't some 50-year-old guy somewhere in the basement of his mother's house. It could be a child anywhere from 15 years old all the way to 70 that's involved as a suspect in sextortion. A lot of times we call these people collectors, and it starts in junior high. Yes. Those are like sex offenders in training if you're not in their technology, and I'll show you why. So say your child is playing in Minecraft, and in Minecraft they meet someone they're playing for 2, 3, 4 months, and now this is their Minecraft girlfriend they're building things with. So maybe that girlfriend says, hey, do you have a Kik? Or do you have a Skype? Let's go over there. Well, the reasons why they want to take your kids from the gaming platform to a texting or video site is because they don't want anybody to see in the game, because there's monitors in there sometimes. They don't want them to see exactly what is going on between their conversations. They will go to Kik because Kik is in Canada and there's no monitoring done over there. So when they go over there, they will send pictures. Do you want to see what I really look like? And boom, they'll send a couple of pictures of themselves naked. It's not really them. The kids are actually being catfished. So what happens is, when they send them that picture, they'll be like, now that I sent you my picture, now you owe me one pic. When I go into schools and I put up in big letters, how many of you have seen, you owe me one pic? I get about 20 to 30 students raising their hands saying that they've seen that before. So what I tell the kids, I want you to type back, I don't owe you jack. And I want the kids to draw a line in the sand, knowing that if somebody types to me, you owe me one pic, that's the common denominator, ladies and gentlemen, in all my sextortion cases. So I pick that out, I show the kids what it is, and if someone sends you to that, you are about to be a victim. So it's so important for our children to recognize that. I make them shout it. You don't owe me jack. I don't owe you jack. I make them stand up and scream it. I don't owe you jack. They stomp their feet. I don't owe you jack. They want to know exactly how they're going to be victims, and I show them what they need to be doing when they see that. When it comes to sextortion, the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children just put out a new PSA. This is a fantastic video that was produced by the National Center, and it tells the whole story. Here we go.
Hi, Zach. Here's another video from my special guy. I can't believe we haven't talked all day. I wish you went to my school or a little closer so we could finally meet.
Hey, kiddo. Dinner in an hour. Don't spend too long on the phone.
Okay, I know you've been waiting for this for a while, so I wanted to give you something special. Is this okay?
Who are you? Why are you doing this?
Back in April of this year, I was teaching at the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force in Atlanta. I teach a sexting investigations and consequence class. After my presentation, I was approached by somebody by the name of Kristen Borse, who is the director of Thorn. Thorn is a non-for-profit that is actually owned by Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher. When Kristen came up to me, she goes, "Detective, are you familiar with Thorn?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I'm not." He said, "Well, we do studies and research in combination with the Crimes Against Children Research Center and the University of New Hampshire to conduct studies about online victimization of children. And we've just finished a 2-year program, and we interviewed 1,600 teens who were involved with sextortion. And everything you're teaching, detective, is everything that we found." I said, "Great, now all my stuff is research-based." So we kind of laughed, but here's what happened when it came to their study. When we talk about sextortion, we see that 60% of the victims of sextortion actually knew the person that they were being sextorted from. That means they went to school with them. That means they hung out in the same areas. That means they grew up in the same neighborhoods. They actually knew the person that was sextorting them. But 40% of that 1,600, they met their predator online. Now here's another stat. Almost half of the threats of, "If you don't do this, I'm going to send this out," half of them had their pictures sent out to everybody they knew. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, how important it is to have that technology talk with your kids, to show them exactly what happens in their social networks. 45% of those kids actually had their inappropriate pictures sent to their schoolmates. Let's move on. The consequences of what happened in the Thorn study is that 1 in 4 victims had to get mental health counseling. This is what this does to our children. And 1 in 8 actually had to relocate, just like Amanda Todd had to move from where she was in Canada to Washington where her mother was, because they couldn't handle the pressure because of what that person did to them. And 1 in 3 of the victims didn't say anything to the parents or law enforcement. And that, when I go into schools, I take that and I tell kids, I said, "Look, if your friend tells you that they're having this online relationship and they're exchanging pictures, you have to be a friend and say something." So I use the old adage, if you see something, say something, because what kind of friend are you to allow your friend to talk to somebody that you know is catfishing them? Maybe I should tell you what catfishing is. There's a program on NTV called Catfish. Catfish means that somebody purports themselves to be somebody that they're not, and that person talks to them and meets them, and it's not that same person. That's catfishing. So if you have a feeling when I tell the children that they are being catfished, you need to tell someone. Because what kind of friend are you allowing your friend to go through all of these different things? So important for our children to have a resource. And here's one of the biggest parts that I take away from the Thorn study. 16% only of those 1,600 told law enforcement, and law enforcement took it seriously. You see, ladies and gentlemen, like any different profession, whether you're a doctor, a nurse, or a plumber, or an electrician, you're going to have those people that don't dot their I's or cross their T's, and they take a lot of shortcuts. Well, in law enforcement, it could be the same way. Sometimes police officers, when they come to a house of a report of cyberbullying or sexting, they don't know that we can find X, Y, and Z by doing this preservation or subpoena. So what they do is they blame the parent. You want me to take a report on what? Well, you let your kid do that on the device. I'm not taking a report. And another predator gets away. So what I want to do for you is I want to show you exactly what kind of evidence you need to be collecting. So when that police officer comes to your house, here, officer, here's all the evidence of what happened to me. And when the officer sees, oh my God, you got evidence, I must have to take this report. And when I show you what evidence to collect, this is all going to make sense to you, and you're going to know that we can catch this person doing it to your child. So what the Thorn study tells us in summary is that we need to increase public awareness. That's what we're doing right now. Not only are we giving this to Naperville, we are giving it to exchange clubs across the country to increase public awareness. We need to educate our students. I want to train law enforcement officers all over the country, all over the world if I have to show them what you need to be aware of, such as you owe me one pic. We need to mobilize the bystanders. Be a friend. If you see something, say something. Encourage proactive interventions, such as presentations in schools to our students. And most of all, we want to train law enforcement across the country to make sure they know exactly what to do in order to catch a predator. Now, another program that we're seeking to do throughout the Exchange Club is that we want the Exchange Club to sponsor 1 or 2 police officers to take a class in how to investigate internet crime. If we do that and we start training law enforcement officers all across the country, we're going to increase our net. We're going to be able to train parents, train kids, and catch more predators so we can make our kids safe. That's why the Exchange Club wants to train law enforcement officers all over the country to protect our children. So the crime for sextortion in Illinois is intimidation. This is a class 3 felony. When you make someone do something that they're not supposed to be doing that could be criminal, such as manufacture of child pornography, a lot of our states have the same type of laws in their states. So out of any slide that I tell you and talk to you about, ladies and gentlemen, this slide is the most important. If something happens to my child, what do I do? How do I make it stop? First, you have to ask yourself, does it fit a crime, such as false personation, harassing obscene communications, that's our cyberbullying statute, cyberstalking, sexual exploitation of a child, indecent solicitation, where a predator is talking to your child, they want to meet your child, or they send inappropriate pictures or videos to your child, or they want your child to do the same. If it is any one of those things, you need to report it to the police. So what evidence do I give to the police when they come to my house? First off, I need you to take screen captures of everything. I need you to take screen captures of the chat, of the screen names, of the pictures, of the videos, what they said, what you said. Everything needs to be screen captured, saved as a file, and printed out. I need you to get to user ID. I'm going to show you in my next slides exactly where the user IDs are and how to do the screen captures. For example, in Twitter it's @ and then the name. In Instagram it's the name at the top. So I'm going to show you exactly what that user ID needs to consist of. If I don't have the right user ID, ladies and gentlemen, I can't do the case. So I have to have the right one. Make sure you screen capture everything for us. So if you're going to report it to the police, do not report it to the social network. I'm going to say that again. If you're going to report it to the police, do not report it to the social network. Because if what you're reporting is so egregious, like really, really, really bad, they may wipe out the whole account, and then when we go do a subpoena, all the information is gone. So tell your people to block that person that's giving your kid a hard time, and then do all your screen captures, get the user ID, and let us do the rest. You see, there's something called a preservation letter that we can send to them that'll keep things in that account for 90 days. 90 days is usually the regular time that allows us to get a subpoena or a search warrant for that account. I want your child or you helping them to make a detailed, typed statement as to what happened. Where I was, how old they said they were, how old you say you were. We were in Minecraft. We were in Minecraft doing this, we built that. Then they asked to take me over to Kick. When I was over to Kick, they sent me to... I want specific detail written in that statement. How you felt, what happened, and what they did to you was wrong. I want everything to be put in a flash drive. This way, when the police officer comes to your house and you say, "Officer, this is what happened to me. Here's my typewritten statement, and here's a flash drive with everything in it." And the police officer is going to look, "Well, since there's evidence, I guess I have to take a report and send it to investigations." Yes, you do. Because now all the police officer has to do is go in their car or to their police department and say, "I arrived at the scene, I talked to the victim, she said this." Flash drive in, copy and paste, shoom, right to investigations. It'll take them 15 minutes to do. So that's exactly why I need you to do this recipe in order to report something that happens online. So let's talk about some of the ways you can take a screen capture. When you're into a Windows machine, like in Windows 10, you hit the Windows button and the PRNTSCN. When you hit those two together, it's going to copy what's on the screen, and then you open up a Word document. When you open up a Word document, you right-click and paste. Now, when it comes to a Mac, what you want to do is you hit Command-Shift-4, and when you hit Command-Shift-4, it's going to take a picture of your screen, automatically make it a file in the lower right-hand corner. Now let's go to phones. When it comes to an iPhone 6 and above, the power button, they move to the side. So you hit the power button, the home button, and a flash is going to show up on the screen, and it's going to go into the camera roll. Now when we're talking about an Android, it's very much the same thing. In earlier versions of Android, it was the volume down power button or volume down home button, but in the recent ones, such as the S7, it is the power button and the home button will take a screen capture, or if you set it up, it's a palm swipe to capture, if your kid has set it up that way. Now, where are the user IDs? In Skype, you'll see it's the name at the top. When it comes to Kick, you'll see it's the name underneath the user created name. You see those names are a little bit different. So it's the name underneath the user created name. When it comes to Instagram, it's the name at the top, the very top of the social network. So when it comes to Snapchat, you can see that the user ID is underneath the user created name. Now there's some things that I need to tell you about Snapchat. When it comes to Snapchat, a lot of times our kids think that after 9 seconds, that video or picture is gone. They are wrong for 2 reasons. You see how Snapchat works, they just change the extension of what that file, picture, or video looks like, and it sends it to a place in unallocated space in the phone. Now when we do a forensic on a phone, we can sometimes grab those pictures back, and you think it's deleted, it's not. There are also third-party applications that when you're running Snapchat, they're running another program in the background, capturing all the pictures and videos, and that sender will never know it. Snapchat knows it, and sometimes they send out warnings to the people using these third-party apps that they're going to be banned if they continue to use it. But nonetheless, your stuff is still being captured. Now, when we talk about user ID in Twitter, it's @ and then the name. So let's talk about social networks, especially Instagram. Well, Instagram is owned by Facebook. Okay? So a lot of the rules that we deal with, there's a special law enforcement portal where we can get information from Facebook and Instagram immediately. But what you have to understand about social networks, ladies and gentlemen, social networks are for kids 13 years of age and older. This past week, I've been teaching at schools all over the Chicagoland area. And when I teach 5th and 6th graders, how many of you have a Snapchat? They all raise their hand. Are you kidding me? Just because your kid wants it doesn't mean they get it. Please understand that. The reason why the industry standard is 13, and those are the rules for every social network, is because they cannot handle what is going on in these social networks when it comes to predators or people trying to scam them. Their frontal cortex, remember I said that? Their frontal cortex is not developed enough. And if you don't know anything about Instagram, Snapchat, or whatever, whenever they create an account, it's automatically set to public, that anybody can see what they do. And that's what kids want. They want everybody to know who they are. The more friends they have, the more followers they have, the more popular they are. You as a parent have to step in. You have to do it with them together. Photos can be geotagged, and I'll show you what that is. Let's talk about that. These bullying issues can arise when a person posts something, it goes to school, now they get ridiculed, now they get bullied about something that they posted, liked, or said that they were going to follow. So let's look at what happens to the pictures on Instagram. When we talk about pictures on social networks, when you take a picture with your cell phone, there's something called EXIF data or metadata that runs in the background of the picture. This information is the type of phone that took the picture, it is the date and time the picture was taken, and it is the longitude and latitude of where you were when you took the picture. You see, Instagram takes that EXIF data or geotagging data and allows all the followers to see everything about the user. So when you hit this little photo map button where the arrow is going, you hit that little bitty photo map button, and then a map is going to show up, and you will see all 500 followers on your account is going to see exactly where you live, where you hang out, where you go to school. And say you're going on spring break or you go on a summer vacation, and now you're posting pictures on the beach with your family, at dinner, on vacation, and somebody hits that photo map button. What are you telling all 500 followers? No one's home at the Wistocki house. So ladies and gentlemen, you need to make these pictures private. Go into the settings tab and make the account private. It'll rip off that EXIF data. It'll remove that photo map button. I've done tests on sports people. I've done tests on broadcasters. And I go to their account, I say, I want to see if they're smart enough to turn off their EXIF data. I hit it, I see where they live, I see where they work. It's unbelievable the amount of information that these social networks give predators. The new one this year is called Musical.ly. Very young kids, as young as 6, 7 years old, are singing on Musical.ly, performing on Musical.ly, making videos and uploading them. People comment on their pictures, or they comment on their videos, and they're singing how great they are. That's a problem, ladies and gentlemen. I have had attorneys and doctors come to me and said, well, I gave my 8-year-old Musical.ly, and they were having fun, but then somebody named Johnny from Jordan is talking to my kid now. You see, predators go where the kids are. Users of Musical.ly can now upload their own content or send that song and that video to anybody they want. So you can imagine, now since Musical.ly has allowed them to do it, they open up a chat service. If you are not in your kids' technology, Jimmy from Jordan, from the United Emirates, can send your daughter or your son, hey, I play an instrument, open up my video, and it's something inappropriate. So please, ladies and gentlemen, you have to be in your kids' technology. You have to have that technology talk, especially when you go to Musical.ly, and you need to tell your children, look, if somebody sends you something inappropriate, you need to shut it down, you need to tell us right away. Don't continue to talking to them. And check it every once in a while. You should know every screen name and password for every single social network you allow your children to have. Let's look at some of these social networks. IMVU, Uvu, After School, the one with the cat, is a brand new one. We're having problems across the country with this one. Scout, Draw Something, Instagram, Omegle, Text Plus, Words with Friends, Snapchat, Kik, Paltalk, Ask.fm, and Weblog. The reason why I put all these popular sites on this slide, ladies and gentlemen, is because I've made an arrest in every single one of them. So please, don't think it happens somewhere else. It doesn't. It happens in these social networks. So here's what I want you to do right now. I want all of you at home watching this or at your office, I want you to pull out your phone. I want you to go to your App Store right now or your Google Play, and I want you to type in hide my pictures or hide my video. Go ahead and do that right now. So when you type this in, you are going to see 4 or 5 different companies that are out there to allow our children to hide pictures from their parents. When they are allowing our children to hide their pictures and videos, and if you find any one of these on your kid's device, you have an issue. My going rate when I do a parent presentation is that within 30 days, one of you are going to call me. I've had it happen to me as soon as when I finished a presentation at a Catholic school, 1:30 in the morning. Now I'm a SWAT sniper, so I do SWAT maneuvers. And when I get called at 2:30 in the morning, it's usually because there's a call out of our SWAT team. So I hear my phone going off. It's like, oh my God, I got to get downstairs. And I open the phone and I said, hello? And he was like, oh, detective, I was going to leave you a message, but I found 10 naked pictures of my son on his computer by what you told me to do. And my wife, it's like a bad State Farm commercial. My wife is like, who's on the phone? And I'm like, it's the lady from the thing. Yeah, sure it is. So again, when you are talking about this stuff, the information that I'm going to give you, within 30 days from this presentation, one of you are going to call me. So if you see something like this, you need to investigate this. Hey, I see you got this app on your phone. What's the passcode? The most popular one is the calculator app. And it looks like this. Ladies and gentlemen, no kid needs 2 calculators in their phone. I don't care what kind of AP classes they have, they don't need 2 of them. So if they have 2 of them, it looks like a regular calculator. And it works like a regular calculator. You can change the skin on it, but if your child has 2 calculators, odds are one of them is a photo vault. Now the default application is .1234. And you hit AC and it opens up that file extension. And you'll see all the pictures that they're hiding from you. This is why you need to go into your child's devices to make sure they're appropriate and to make sure they have the appropriate apps in there and you know what they are. What I tell the kids when they're taking pictures and videos, I call it the 3P test. You see, when our kids are involved in technology, they're going to take pictures or videos, but they need to have a test to it. Here's the test. If you showed that picture or played that video for their parents, their priest, or their principal, and they think that they would be okay with that, then go ahead and do it. It's fun. That's what our kids do. That's what our technology allows them to do. But if any one of those 3 would think that that picture or video would be inappropriate, just understand that that picture or video could be used against them in a sextortion issue. And then you have a whole nother set of problems. So when we talk to your children, talk to them about the 3P test: the parent, the priest, and the principal. Now let's talk about gaming. Basically, ladies and gentlemen, I talked to you about Minecraft. I talked to you about different other games on their cell phones. Well, let's talk about gaming on computers and on their gaming systems. There's a new thing called Steam, which allows kids to play for 25 bucks all these magnificent games that are being produced from people who have majors and masters in gaming production. You see, the basic rule of thumb is if your child is playing on a gaming system, if someone wants them to take them away from the game to a social network, they have bad intentions for your child. If they want to say something, why don't they say it right on the game? There's chat features. There's headset features. Just say it to them on the game. But when they want to take them off, take them to a social network, have a private conversation with them, something is amiss. That's what you have to talk to your kids about. So there are numerous different types of companies that allow you to monitor your children's devices. 2 of which I have vetted, and I have known the people who created the software, and instead of paying me to mention their companies, I told them that I cannot accept any payment because I'm a public official. Rather, I want them to give me free codes to allow my parents to get it for free or discounted so they can enjoy what these softwares can do for their children. So when it comes to Androids, you want to use My Mobile Watchdog. When it comes to iOS or Apple, TeenSafe is the way to go. Now, about 2-3 years ago, you couldn't even monitor anything on an Apple device. Now you can, because you have to send everything from the device to the cloud, and here's the information on how TeenSafe does it.
Now, TeenSafe is a total different animal.
And there are 3 different premises that you need to understand about when you monitor an iPhone. So these are for your iPads, your iTouches, and your iPhones. So when we're talking about iOS products, Apple does not allow third-party software into their devices. So what happens is that you have to set that device to go up to the cloud. Okay, you have to first increase your cloud storage. Now I have the TeenSafe on my cell phone just to show my parents how it works. So I had to increase my cloud service. That's the first thing. The second thing is that I had to make my phone send all the information from it to the cloud. And that's where TeenSafe comes in, is in the middle of those 2 systems. So the first thing I have to do some configuration and increase my cloud space. The second thing I have to do is that I have to send the information up, because this is not latent information. This is not real-time information like Mobile Watchdog is. See in the upper right-hand corner here, it says get the latest data. You have to hit that to update it, to grab and show the data on your dashboard. Now the third thing that's of a concern for TeenSafe is that they do not capture pictures and videos like Mobile Watchdog does. I am in the process of trying to convince them to do that. However, at this time, they do not capture pictures and videos that come out of text messaging. They do some things that are in apps, but you need to understand that that information is delayed. So let's go through it. So you see the SMS messages, you can kind of get them here. If there was a picture or a video, it'll say possible picture or video sent here, but it doesn't show you it. Any deleted texts you can get in here. I don't delete my text, there's nothing in there. So when we go into mobile location, I'm going to skip view the install apps right now, but I'm going to go into mobile location. You can see exactly where they are. All I have to do is hit get current location and it'll go there. Call logs, you'll see who they call and who calls them, in and out, and you can hit who's this and it'll go to their contact list. Web history. When you go to web history here, you can see the exact website that they went to. Now here's where we talk about the apps. Now if they have a Twitter account, you can add the Twitter account. If they have a Tinder account, you better hope your teenager doesn't have a Tinder account. When we look at the WhatsApp text, a lot of kids think they're smarter than you, and they use the WhatsApp text rather than their text messaging to get around parent snooping. And if they deleted anything from WhatsApp, it'll be in here. When it comes to Kick text, you'll have Kick text here, and of course Kick is one of the most dangerous sites out there, because that's where all the predators go to pick their targets, and it's very easy to do that. So you can have the Kick text. You will see pictures and videos in the app itself. Deleted Kick text, which is huge for you to have. You can follow a conversation like reports and Mobile Watchdog. Contact list here. You can find out who in each one is, and you can do a little information here on who this person is and so forth. Now let me go back to installed apps. Oh, I'm sorry. TeenSafe has a new product that goes along with their application. We were in California talking to the owners last July when we were releasing Juvenile Justice Online, and upon speaking to the owners of TeenSafe, they said, "Hey Rich, let's look at this new service that we have for TeenSafe." I said, "What is it?" He says, "Well, it's called Pause." So when you want to install Pause with your TeenSafe application, you know how your kids, you go to dinner and they all pull out their phones and they're not really enjoying conversation? You could pull out your phone, hit the pause button, and all their phones go dead. And my kid was like, "Oh, heck no, Dad." And I'm like, "No, don't worry, you have Mobile Watchdog." And they're like, he's like, "Phew." I said, "But it's a great idea." He goes, "No, I don't like that." So that's a service that they have. And look here, so you can see all the apps that are in your kids' cell phones. Now remember when I was talking about vault apps, trying to know which one is the vault or the secret folder that they're keeping pictures in? This will tell you what it is. So I have two vaults on my cell phone because I keep sensitive pictures and videos from my cases here, and you can see video safe, secure, private, vault, videos, vault. So you can see exactly what those apps are. So if there's a calculator one, you'll know here what it is. So which is really nice. So when we talk about Android, my mobile watchdog works really well. That's what I have on my kid's cell phone. I'm able to see everything on his account. Any text, any picture, any photo, any app, I can see everything it does. I can locate him. I can set information where if I don't want him talking to someone, it'll send me a copy of that text and that phone call before he gets it. Even if he tries to delete a text, I get it first on my account. The next software I want to show you is My Mobile Watchdog. Now, a lot of you have been thinking about what kind of phone should I get my 10, 11, 12-year-old. I want them to be safe. I want to be able to see what they're doing. I want to be able to control what they're doing. No better phone can do that for you except for Android. You see, Android is open source, where they allow third-party applications that are not approved by Android or Google to be placed in the phone. So therefore, My Mobile Watchdog does a fantastic job of getting real-time information. So let's look into an account with My Mobile Watchdog. I'm going to sign into mine. This is on my 16-year-old's phone, and hopefully he was a good boy the last couple days. So when we look at all the activity logs here in messages and phone calls made, you can see the people that he has been calling. Like, say for example, this morning, I'm going to click on this one. He texted his goalkeeper coach, and if I wanted to find out a little bit more about what's going on, even if he deleted this message, it still comes here first. So he could delete it from his phone, but he cannot delete it from here, which is really neat. So any phone call, any contacts, any person throughout the phone that he is talking to with his phone comes up here. What's also nice about messages is that anytime that there is any pictures or videos, let me see if I can pull up a picture or video here, maybe, and yeah, see, you'll see any picture or video that comes through here, you can play from the dashboard. Let me see if there is any pictures here that I can get. So yeah, so here are pictures that he has sent to a cousin, and they all come up here. So it'll capture pictures and video. So those are messages. Now when we look at calls, we can see any calls that came into the phone or out of the phone, which is really neat. Let's go back. Any contacts. So when we look at contacts, now if you do not want your kid to talk to someone, or if you want to be alerted if they talk to that one kid that you know isn't right, for example, say Tony here. Say I didn't like Tony, and I was suspicious about his relationship with my son. I would hit an alert on Tony, and then anytime Tony called or sent my son a text message, I would get a copy of that to my phone. Again, parents, you are responsible for your children, who they hang out with, and what they do all the way until they're 18. The next thing I want to show you are applications. So the applications that are on the phone. Now, say you are tired of them playing Clash of Clans, and they're spending an enormous amount of time on playing that app. So what you can do, you hit the settings button here, and you can only allow it for 30 minutes. So if they're only on there for 30 minutes at a time, that's what you set. That's what it is. You can block the application, or you can allow the application, whatever you want to do. For my son, I don't want him to get into Dropbox. I don't want him to store anything remotely. He thought he was slick one time and thought he can get into Task Manager and change the permissions to My Mobile Watchdog. Yes, that is not happening. So you are able to control some of the apps, but when it comes to apps, none of these softwares really allow you to see what's in the app. We're going to talk about TeenSafe in a little bit. I'll show you what they do. However, if your kid has a social network, and again, they have to be over 13 years of age and older, you should have the screen name and password to that cell phone application so you can look at it on your computer, on your phone, and hopefully on their phone. You know, it was amazing when we did an exercise and a presentation a couple weeks ago for Kids Matter. We had two families that their 9-year-old sons refused to give them the code to the phone. Parents, you cannot have that. You must know the screen name. You must know the login information to that cell phone and take it anytime you want. Those parents had to actually leave our presentation because they were so embarrassed that their kid was so entitled and was unwilling to cooperate with the exercises we were doing between the parents and the kids. Parents, please understand, you are responsible for that child. There's no such thing as privacy for children, and you need to be in that phone to be responsible for your children. So let's go to reports. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a report, like say he sent a message here, and I'm going to ask them to create a report. So say I'm going to go back to December, close, let me pick a date. Most recent last, I'm going to ask it to generate a report. So it's going to generate a report and it's going to send it to me in my email. And I'm going to be able to read that information on the report on everything they've talked about over the past 6 months. So when I go to websites here, I'm going to be able to see, looks like he did not go to any websites. I just installed this on his phone, a new updated version, which is really cool. Go to time block here. So this time block is really fantastic. So remember we talked about keeping your kids' devices on the island, in the kitchen, in your room, but not in their room. What happens in Mobile Watchdog, you can actually put a time block in here. So during the week, I set a time block from 12:30 a.m., which is 12:30 in the morning, or at night actually, until 6 a.m. So when I enable this, my son cannot use this, even if he tries to sneak his phone off the island, between midnight and 6 a.m. Now let's say something happens where he is somewhere else and I still have time block on. The only people he can call or text are the emergency account contacts that I have plugged into there. So that would be 911, Mom, Dad, Anthony, his brother, Nana, Nonu, Auntie Barb, my sister, or Uncle Joe. So these are the only people that he is allowed to talk to or to text during those off times. So let's go back. So locations. So my son just left for school, and you're going to be able to see that, of course, he is at Lockport High School as we speak. So I know exactly where he's at all times if I need to check. Do I check this all the time, ladies and gentlemen? Absolutely not. We have busy days. We have, time to check this all the time. But if his grades are slipping, I'm going to check. If he's a little emotional, I'm going to check. If he's playing bad soccer, I'm going to check. If he's going someplace and I get that feeling he's not telling me the truth, I'm going to check. That is my position as a parent. That is my responsibility, and he is my responsibility in all aspects of his life.
So when it comes to Android, I recommend My Mobile Watchdog, and here is the code that you can get to get 6 months for free. Again, this is the promotion that I can get from My Mobile Watchdog. All you have to do, the promo code is TDS for kids. And you can also go to my website at bsureconsulting.com to get all of these codes for the software. So when we talk about computers for Windows or Macs, WebWatcher is a great product that you can have a dashboard and see exactly what your kids are doing, even inside the apps. It works for computers and it works for cell phones as well. And it does do Android and or iOS devices.
Meet Denise. She's a hard-working mom who's always on the go. This is her husband. This is her minivan. This is her daily life. These are her 3 great kids. And this is the digital world where they spend way too much of their time. Whether it's texting on their phones, posting on social networks, or exploring kids' sites on the web. And it's just not possible, even for a great mom like Denise, to watch out for them every minute. Which is why she turned to WebWatcher, the best way to monitor what your kids are doing on the internet. You can purchase it anywhere you happen to be, and then with just a few clicks, download and install it later. WebWatcher is tailor-made for busy moms like Denise, at a price that's easy to handle too. But here's the key. Before WebWatcher, if Denise wanted to monitor her kids' online activity, she was stuck with monitoring software tied to the computers, laptops, and mobile devices where she installed it. Denise was full-time just trying to keep up. And to make matters worse, she could only check the kids' online activity if she could actually pry the devices away from them, and that's no easy task. But WebWatcher is different, because its simple and intuitive interface is totally web-based with all your devices, laptops, desktops, and smartphones on the same panel. So it's easy for Denise to monitor what her kids are up to anywhere online, whenever and wherever she wants. At home, at the office, at the gym, even on date night with her husband. So Denise can react right away, because she'll know right away, before it's too late. Desktop, laptop, or mobile device, WebWatcher software can easily be installed on them all, recording every email, chat message, text, web search, as well as all Facebook activity too. And even if your kids knew WebWatcher was on their devices, which they won't unless you tell them, even the most tech-savvy of them all won't ever be able to find it, tamper with it, or remove it. Sorry, dude. WebWatcher lets Denise prioritize information by focusing on the alert words she sets, and fires her an email each and every time one of them is triggered. Like this, or this, or this. Winner of a whole host of awards from About.com, plus top 10 reviews, and most recently PC Magazine. Nice, huh? WebWatcher is based right here in the US, and has excellent 24/7 customer support too. Now Denise uses WebWatcher to monitor what her kids are doing online, whenever and wherever she is. So she has real-life peace of mind, you see? And you can too. WebWatcher, we've got them covered.
So when we talk about the products, when you go to Be Sure Consulting, there's another code in there. You get 50% off, and you can try it out for yourself. So let's recap. First of all, there is no such thing as privacy for your children. You have to be in your child's technology because you are responsible for your children. Second, you need to talk to them and be their confidant. You cannot be their best friend and allow them to do whatever they want. You need to set boundaries and be able to talk to them and what to do if they find themselves in a bad situation. As parents, you need to be a team when it comes to parenting your child in technology. You need to talk away from them, discuss the pros and cons, and then come back with a resolution. Know all your children's screen names and passwords, whether it is their email, whether it is the code to their phone, whether it is their information to their cloud. You need to know every screen name and password and list them out and keep them in your phone. So when you need to get into their device or in their social networks, you'll know exactly what's going on. Most of all, keep their devices out of their rooms at night. Remember what I told you about Truth or Dare, video chat sites. You're sleeping. They don't need to talk. All it is typing and performing. Know what evidence you need to give the police if something happens, such as the screen names, the user IDs, the written statements, the screen captures. You need to have those things ready to go when the police come to your house. And most of all, monitoring your children is a must, especially our young kids. They don't have the tools to make themselves safe. That's your job. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. We hope this empowers you as parents. We appreciate your devotion to your children and the Exchange Club to be able to protect children all over the country. Thank you, and have a great day.